So welcome to the solutions stage. My name is Edgar Borja. It's a privilege for me to be here. Is English good for everyone? Does anybody need translation? ¿Alguien necesita español? All right, English it is. Awesome, so we are K1 Technology. K1 comes from, we're the first kiosk manufacturer in El Salvador. Our talk is about our product, the K1 ATMs, but also about inventing the El Salvador of the future. So K1, just to give you a little bit of information about us, we created the first Bitcoin ATM that was designed and built in El Salvador. And we are the first exporters of high-tech devices from El Salvador. So we are already, besides El Salvador, we are also in Mexico, in Colombia, with our good friends at mine in Medellin. We are in Quito, Ecuador as well. And now with our friends from Founders Group, we are also in the US. Yes, so El Salvador is now exporting technology even to America. Can you believe that? We're really excited about that. Now let me tell you a little bit about how it began. Because people ask me, how come you're making ATMs or devices in El Salvador? We began, as many do, with a dream. Somebody came to me, a friend of mine. I'm a software engineer, so I've built software since I was 12 years old. I wasn't an engineer back then. It took me 14 years to get the degree, but I've been building software for a long time. And some friends came to me and said, hey, we want to build some phone balance, top-up ATMs. We want to import, they said. And I look at their needs. I saw the prices online. And I had, besides completing the software side of things, I had already studied some electronics. So I said, I think we can build it for you. And they believed in us. So we began with something very humble. That's the very first prototype. We use it for the bathroom towels now in my house. But that's where we began. Then we moved over, to build a wood version of what would be the first final product. Then we found a metal workshop that built the initial prototype for us. Now this is what it looked like a little bit later, until it became the first ATM we launched. It was fully functional. You could use it. Initially, we built it, as I said, for phone top-up. But then we moved over to, when the Bitcoin announcement came, we also connected it to initially Strike, out of all the APIs, Strike and then the Lightning Network. But when Bitcoin began with the announcement, we had some initial interaction. We met a lot of really great friends. The Bitcoin ecosystem has been a tremendous opportunity for us. We were able to create, and from what we had already learned in the past, we created a new product. We called it the K1 Mini. So the other one became the K1 full service, and this is our K1 Mini. At one of the Bitcoin conferences last year, we met our friends from Bitcoin Beach Wallet, our friends from Arte Metal, which is a company that makes, they make any kind of metal structure. They saw what we were doing with our first prototypes, and they said, we think we can build something better for you. So this is the story of how the K1 Mini is made. It has music, but we don't need the music. That's all right. So you can see how now we went from wooden prototypes, so now we're building with CNC laser cutters, basically all the way to the industrial age. So we advanced like 500 years in 1 year here in El Salvador. One of the things that we noticed it's what motivated us in the first place to say we can do things here, we can make software solutions or hardware solutions here, is that we saw that we already have the skills in our country. We have people who make, for example, they make metal closets and server racks and stands like you would see around here. We have really good graphic designers here in El Salvador, people who even export their talent. We have software developers in El Salvador. We have paint shops. Do you see all those cars that they bring from the US that are all crashed and they look like nothing? But then after a couple months, people make them look like new. So we can really have the skills to create great things. But we just needed somebody who believed in us that we could put it together. So we put together metal workers, we put together software designers, we brought the electronics engineering, and some knowledge about the Lightning Network that we had to pick up on the way. And now we have this product, the K1 Mini. After we had the first K1 Mini, or the first batch of K1 Minis, we found even more great friends through the Bitcoin ecosystem. We found our friends, for example, from Mine. They allowed us to, they believed in us with our first prototypes, and we set some up in Colombia. They connected us with the Bitcoin community in South America, and now that's why we are also in South America. And we continue to grow. So right now I'm going to do what they always tell you not to do during a live presentation, which is to do a demo. But I'm confident in our product. So our K1 Mini allows you to buy Bitcoin using spare change, our first version. So I'm going to use a quarter, put it in. I'm going to create a Lightning invoice. It can be an open Lightning invoice, or it can be for a specific amount. Show it the QR, and that's it. My invoice was paid. I just got a quarter worth of Bitcoin. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's been a long road to get here, but we have been able to Bitcoinize over 500 people in the events and the meetups, and the people that have set them up. Over 500 people who have bought their first Satoshis through one of these machines. Why is that? Because it's very low risk, very easy to use. Right now, even in a country like El Salvador, Bitcoin is legal tender, and it's a great opportunity. You still need to have an ID card from El Salvador. If you don't have an ID card from El Salvador, you cannot use the Chivo ATMs. You cannot buy or install the Chivo app because it's for Salvadorians so far. But with this, and with something that is very simple to use, even the kids can use it. The kids can download an app. We had an event with our friends from Bitcoin Beach about a month ago, and we had over $500 worth of transactions that were done in one of our ATMs from kids, coming with quarters, dimes, and nickels, and they wanted to buy Satoshis, and they had a blast because it allows them to turn something material, to turn Bitcoin into something material, something they can touch and feel, which just getting the concept doesn't do it, but our ATMs allow them to do that. So we continue to grow, we continue to expand. What's coming up? K1 Mini for banknotes, for bills. So we'll be launching this. The first batch is coming in January. Now I'm going to do the worst thing after doing a live demo, which is doing a second live demo in the same presentation. So this is our K1 Mini Plus. The K1 Mini Plus can receive payments in, see, that's why you don't do it. It can receive payments in coins, but it also can receive payments in bills. So same process, we tap on start, but now we can insert the bill. And this is going to be easier in the final version, especially if your hands aren't shaking. Bam, $5. Okay, and it's going to be working for several Latin American countries. We're going to be working with US dollars, Mexican pesos, Colombian pesos, Brazilian reales, and Argentinian soles. Soles, thank you. So we'll be launching for those markets. For coins, it's even easier because we can configure it. We can train it for new coins. So we just need, 20 Lebanese lira, and then you can train it with a lira, and I think it's a lira. And it works. So we continue to grow. We continue to find new solutions. We gave this higher priority after being in Miami a few months ago with our friends from Founders Group, and they told us, well, it's really great, but in the US, most people use bills. In Argentina, they were asking us, the coin is not worth too much, but they have bills. So we continued in that direction, but we also our goal is not only to build a network of ATMs. Our goal is actually to transform El Salvador into a nation that embraces technology and exports technology. Salvadorians are really technology friendly, actually. Some people carry 2 or 3 phones on them. We have more cell phones than people here in El Salvador, but none of them are made here. What's up with that? It's not that we don't have the capability, but we haven't believed that we can do it. One of the other areas in which we want to expand, our next step, and we already have a prototype, which I cannot bring here, is automated lockers. Have you noticed that in El Salvador, many people work independently, and they create all the way from bracelets, or they sell shoes, they sell perfume, they sell whatever. But whenever you go on Facebook Marketplace, and you find all kinds of things, even things that you don't find in the store, you find on Facebook Marketplace here in El Salvador. But everyone says, I have this really awesome product, but I only sell it 20 blocks around my house. I only sell in gallerias. I only sell in this mall. And they limit their own market. Instead of selling to 6 million people or more, they decide to sell only to 200,000 people that live in the same city as them. But what if we had Amazon locker style lockers, K1 branded, of course, our K1 box, and then anybody can come to any mall and say, let's say I live in Santa Tecla, so I go to a mall in Santa Tecla because I'm selling, some shoes, hopefully new. Then you put them in the box. Somebody else can come later and pick it up, or maybe somebody in San Miguel, on the other side of the country, bought it from me, and then it just gets transported, Star Trek style. Now we'll need a distribution network, but then it goes to a mall in their city, so they can go to a mall in San Miguel and pick up any product. What happens then? Individual sellers can become companies. We help in the development of those small businesses that support our nation, because we open up their market to the whole country. So your market becomes 50 times bigger. Imagine when we can do it at the Central American level. Imagine being able to buy one of those great leather shoes that they make in Antigua, and you get them delivered for $3 to your nearest mall. How is that possible? With technology that we already have. Now, we already build lockers here in El Salvador. We are already building technology, and obviously, at the center of the locker, we're going to have a K1 ATM where people who do not have a credit card can come and pay with cash, or they can come and pay with Bitcoin. So we also remove that obstacle. Imagine being able to pay with cash for a product that's coming from the other side of the country, and you receive it nearby. So that's another of the solutions that's coming up. Now, how is this going to be possible? It is not going to be possible with only K1. That's why our goal is to develop the high-tech industry. When we get competitors, we'll actually be happy, because that means that El Salvador is growing. One of the ways in which we're doing that is by creating solutions for children. One of our products that's open up on GitHub, and the next slide has a QR code that you can scan, is a mini Game Boy, like this. This one has a 3D printed case, but it's the same thing. It's a mini Game Boy that's open source. We release the source for everything, and the schematics and the design. And the components to build something like this are worth, when you buy 10 from China, at least last time I checked, you can look at the bill of materials online. How much do you guess a Game Boy could be worth, already shipped and delivered to El Salvador? $5. $5, and you can find the bill of materials and all the instructions to put it together. By reading our QR code, it'll link you to a GitHub repository. So we also work with children who are doing good in their grades, who are having good academic performance, so that we can give them software training. We have had software workshops where they build a little, I don't know, one of the times we built a hangman app using JavaScript. Another time we built a little Christmas tree, because we usually do it when they're off classes. We built a little Christmas tree that dances to the music with the lights that turn on and off. And nowadays, it's possible to do stuff like that because a microcontroller like this, it's a Node MCU that we have, at least in this software solution, That microcontroller is worth $1 now. And it's worth us, it has the same capability that the original Macintosh had. Now, how much was the original Macintosh when it came out? Over $1,000, about $1,000. And now, that was in 1980s money. But now, this one has the same power as that used to have, and this is worth $1. Why were we able to build our first units or something like this? Because we can use 3D printers, we can use laser cutters, we can use CNC machines to create PCBs, and we don't need a whole factory to do it. You can launch small products, you can launch small batches with solutions that were not here before. That is what we believe in, and we believe that a small country like El Salvador has a great potential. People see in El Salvador lots of difficulties. You know, it's a small country. People want to go live in the United States. They don't want to live here anymore. There's a lot of violence and crime, or at least it used to be like that. But if you turn that around, you get a lot of benefits. It's a small country. That means you have great connectivity. You know, you don't need to take a 2-day trip. If you're in Texas and you want to go to the other side of Texas, that's a 3-day trip. You know, 1 day to get there, 1 day to do what you need to do, and then 1 day to come back. Here in El Salvador, everything's well connected, and we have good roads. We have a good technological infrastructure too. You know, you have fiber optic basically all over the country. They didn't need much. You know, it was just a box, and they laid it out, and there you have fiber optic. They say people want to live in the U.S. They want to leave the country. Well, that means that we have the most integrated society to the United States. Out of all of Central America, we have 25% of our people in the U.S. Our society is tightly integrated with the U.S. We understand the market there, and people from there can talk to us here. And we have, yesterday, I think they published scores on the best English out of Latin America, and El Salvador is second, right after Costa Rica. Can you believe that? Costa Rica has a much higher GDP per capita than we do, but we have almost as good English as they do. So we're very integrated. They also said, well, it's a country that has crime, that has a historically low education rate. Well, then we know how to build reliable solutions. You know, if it's able to resist a Salvadoran tampering with it, it can handle anything. So anything that has been a hindrance up to this point, you can turn it around and make it something new, make it an advantage. We did it with K1. We found great support, definitely. My family that is here today even supporting me right now. We couldn't do it without help from God, definitely, and many friends that we have met along the way, too. So thank you for coming. One challenge for you all. Can you tell what this is? It's not a pizza. It's a pizza machine. It's a pizza machine. See, now it's laying down the cheese. I'm going to fast forward a little bit. I'm getting hungry. After that, pepperoni, of course. And then it goes into the oven, Quiznos style. It has a band that goes through the oven. And on the other side, you have a pizza. It's an automated pizza machine. Now I ask you, how many of you like pupusas? Can you please get out? No, I'm just kidding. If pupusas are always a blast with people, how about if we had pupusa machines in every hotel in America? People would love it. I think, was it Brad Pitt that said, no, it was Johnny Depp that said that he loved pupusas? I don't know. Leonardo, yeah, it's true. Leonardo DiCaprio said, I am a pupusa man, he said. Imagine if we had it in every hotel. Like they have waffle machines. We had a pupusa machine. Do you think that in 100 years in El Salvador, there will be ladies making pupusas at every corner, or there will be pupusa machines? Now the challenge is, will we buy the pupusa machines from the Chinese, or we will build them ourselves? Will we be exporting technology at that stage? So the pieces are already here. We just need to put them together and believe we can do it. That's our presentation. Thank you for coming. Thank you. And now I'll take any questions, or anybody wants to. Yes, sir.
Does the machine have any prevention mechanisms to avoid people using fake coins or getting scammed?
Yes. So in the case of the coin machine, the way it works is that you have to train it with 20 coins of the same currency, 15 to 20 coins, and then it learns to identify the metallicity, the size, and the weight of the coin, and then that's how we prevent fakes. You can also set the tolerance level, so you can make it, some coins, US dollars are very standard, very consistent, but some other countries have coins that vary a little bit in size and weight, so you can give it a tolerance level based on what you want, and that gives you either a strict enforcement or a lax enforcement. Yes, sir?
Hey, yeah, thanks for the presentation. Just wondering, do these machines need internet to run? And the second question is, how do you prevent people for stealing the whole machine? If
Okay,
that could
thank you. Thank you for your questions. Yes, the machines need Wi-Fi to run, but you can set it up easily. Like anywhere I go, I just open up my phone as a hotspot, and it uses very little internet. And then to prevent them from stealing it, the machine can be mounted. It has holes on the back to be mounted to a wall, or it can also be mounted to a stand, or you can even bolt it to a table if you want, or you know, any display area. That's one of the mechanisms for prevention, but they are not designed to be out there in the bus stop. You know, they are designed to be next to the cashier, relieving the cashier from some of the work. We'll be launching some other features also next year. For example, phone top-up, which I already mentioned, it is coming to these same machines. So right now, if you go to the pharmacy, to the drugstore, and maybe you want to pay $20 for a medicine, the pharmacy will make $5 out of that. But in front of you, there's two people who want to buy, you know, $1 worth of saldo for their phone, and the store will only make 5 or 4 cents out of it. So they can have a machine that supports them, increases the productivity of the store.
makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, another question that you mentioned was about the hotspotting the connection with the machine. So I cannot create an hotspot, and the machine will connect to my phone to, let's say, finish up the transaction. That's what you mentioned? Or?
Okay, so it can connect to any Wi-Fi. We can connect it, like if you already have Wi-Fi in your store, it can connect to that Wi-Fi. I mentioned the hotspot because it's something you can set up anywhere.
No, my question was more about for remote areas, if you want to place something like this in remote areas, and obviously internet connection could be not there. So I was probably, I misunderstood. I was thinking, okay, if I can hotspot with my phone and make this machine work, maybe a good solution too.
Yeah, maybe for areas that are too remote, maybe Ellen Pay, which is coming also in the future. Sorry, little brain. But you got the idea. You know, we can create QR codes from the machine with a software update in the future. Starlink, yeah. Yes.
How do we know where to find these? Like, what if we want to go buy Bitcoin like that?
Where to find them? We'll be publishing them out because now we have a few locations now. It used to be just a few, but now it's growing. So we're going to be publishing a list on our website. Our website is k1.sv.
And it doesn't require like a phone number or anything? You just go up?
So for the operator, you do need to have, we have two options for the operator. You can have, the owner of the machine can have either a Bitcoin Beach wallet because we're connected to their API, or you can have an OpenNode account. OpenNode, the KYC takes a little longer than Bitcoin Beach, so most of our operators use Bitcoin Beach. For the person who's buying, for the customer, you just need a Lightning wallet. Okay, but then you need to find out the regulations in your jurisdiction too, because for example, here in El Salvador, we don't really have strict regulations for transactions that are under $5. You know, just usually the store just needs at the end of the day make a list of the transactions and write it down in their ledger, but they can make one record at the end of the day. In some other jurisdictions, the rules can vary.
Thank you very much. Impressive product and an even more impressive presentation.
Thank you very much, sir.
As a Salvadoran entrepreneur, if you had the ear of the innovation minister, such a thing doesn't exist, but you know, of the government, what would be the 3 top things that you would tell them as an entrepreneur that that they should do, in your view, in order to, you know, build this tech system or this?
Wow, that's a really great question. I would tell the government It's great that you're investing in software. That's definitely needed. But also remember that hardware enables software. You cannot have software without hardware. Second, I would say the pieces of the puzzle are already in place. You just need to connect them better because we already have the skills. And third, I don't know, a K1 mini in every corner.
Maybe a follow-up question. How much of your business is done through government procurement? I mean, or rather, could the government use, or how could the government use procurement to help, this nascent sector in El Salvador?
Well, I think we can help a lot the government effort in Bitcoin specifically right now, because adoption hasn't been what we all expected. That's a fact. But sometimes if you lower the barrier of entry from $20 in an ATM to a quarter, and you make it work on the Lightning Network like we're doing it, we integrate with Chivo too. So you can buy with a Chivo wallet. You don't need a new wallet. You can you can create a Lightning invoice from Chivo and buy a quarter or maybe a dime or even a nickel. So we can be a great training tool. And as I said, we have Bitcoinized a lot of people that didn't feel comfortable putting their credit card number on a website in an exchange. They didn't feel comfortable putting a $20 bill and not knowing, if it was going to arrive immediately. Like the first time I bought Bitcoin, I went to El Sonte, and I'm not going to say where. I put a $20 bill in the machine, and then I sat next to the machine for 30 minutes waiting for it to arrive in my wallet. Because $20 here is a big deal. But if you can only do it with 25 cents and you get it in 2 seconds, I think that can ease the worries for many people, because I think Bitcoin can be a great solution if we do the education that still needs to be done. So we can help in that area. All right, thank you. We still have time for a couple more questions, I think. 2 more minutes? 3 minutes? Okay. So any more questions? Otherwise, thank you all for your time. It's been a pleasure. And we have a